Flexibility and extensions. I've talked about the non-coded side of the house, but obviously we also have scenarios where customers say we need additional integrations into other, let's say, CRM solutions or other manufacturing execution solutions. So we've tried to pre-think all of those scenarios which are or which you will run into during the implementation project and give you capabilities to either use and adjust a core process or extend with key user tools, or if additional logic is required, we will provide you with the SAP software development kit called the Cloud Application Studio. So this circle here visualizes what are all of the capabilities which we provide you to make sure that you can adjust the Business by Design system to the specific requirements of your company. Give me a few more minutes to talk about the SAP Cloud Application Studio. SAP's mission in life is to build out the SAP solution scope. These are the capabilities where SAP says that is our obligation. We need to do it. If we don't do it, most likely nobody else will do it. These are the core capabilities around financials, human resource management, whatever you name it. But the lion's share of the entire segment is the responsibility of the partners. So the partners build the integration scenarios. The partners build all of the add-ons, which are super relevant for my customers. They build additional forms and reports, mashups, or entire micro-vertical solutions. For example, one of my partners, Sador, in the United States and in Spain, they took Business by Design and specifically adjusted it to the needs of gym clubs. So they added a couple of capabilities like management for training plans, the integration into the revolving door and stuff like that. But they reuse as much as possible as they can from Business by Design. So again, this talks to the platform nature and the importance of the ecosystem around it. Let me show you one example where standard software typically doesn't meet the requirements of the customers. That's the example of bonus plan management. Every company does it in a slightly different way, and therefore it's a good example to solve this specific capability via an add-on through the SAP Application Studio. So what are we talking about? We are talking about that we want to define a new business object in Business by Design. So we want to open up a new honeycomb, a new deployment unit, and have in there one business object which is called the bonus plan BO. So how do I do that? I've already logged on to the Cloud Application Studio here, and what you can see is a typical example of a domain-specific language. In this domain-specific language, you can describe now, I want to create a business object called bonus plan, and I used my initials to simply identify it. And the bonus plan comprises of a couple of elements. So a bonus plan ID, a description, a start date, an end date, and so on and so on. It's very easy to read. You just write down what are the attributes that you would associate or that you want to see in that specific bonus plan object. So now you have a bonus plan object. You don't need to worry about how do the select statement and the data definition language statements now look like. That is something that the Cloud Application Studio does completely for you. It builds all of the indexes and all the things you don't need to worry about. So now we have the business object, and let me just call out two things here at the bottom. The business object is associated to the employee because obviously a bonus plan needs to be allocated to an individual employee, and I already define here that I will have two actions. One action is to calculate the bonus, and then I can have additional capabilities here. So that was the first step. I've defined my business object. The next step now is that I create these associations to my two other business objects. One is the sales order, the other one is the employee. And here you see the power of what Business by Design can do. Traditionally, I would have copied the business object and with that decoupled myself from further development of the solution. Here in this case, what I do is I over-define my business object. And just let's look at it here from an employee perspective. So I define for this employee, is he eligible for a fixed bonus? And if so, what is the total bonus amount? Now that we've created the relationship between our bonus plan business object and the business object of the employee, I can move forward with the next step and define a data source. A data source is basically the analytical representation, and in the data source I now funnel all of the information that I need. So if I look at the data source definition, I have a header here, and then I can say which are the individual fields which I want to make available in this data source. The beauty of the data source is that I can access information not only related to one specific business object, but all of the three business objects together. So when I later want to build reports on top of this object, it is a lot easier than linking together the information in a different way. Once I'm done with the definition of the data source, I can now focus on building out the capabilities which I want to associate to that business object. And the way how we do that is that we can now build the so-called actions. If you look at the way how the actions are defined, you see that it's not SAP's own programming language, ABAP, but that we've borrowed the syntax of C# from Microsoft. We wanted to use a state-of-the-art scripting language. We could also have chosen Ruby, and we've experimented with a lot of other languages. I could also do it in Python. That doesn't matter. The key thing is we wanted to have a way how we can easily define in a scripting language what are the variables that we need, and then what I do here is I check, is this employee eligible for a bonus plan? If yes, I loop here over, in this example, the sales quote. Typically, I would rather use the sales order, but that's the example here. I loop over it, I add up all of the numbers which I want to have, and finally, I write these numbers then into the persistency layer of Business by Design, and I'm ready for further calculations. So that is then the next step, that I define all of the actions, and I can now continue to build a user interface on top of Business by Design, on top of the bonus plan. I won't show that here. I could do the input-output mechanism. I could, for example, say I want to be able to upload historic bonus plans via XML files. Then I could do this here. And I can finally, once I've developed everything in the developer's desktop, I write all of the results, so all of the business objects, the actions, the forms, the user interface, the query definitions. I have all of that in my repository, and what I physically do is I collect all of that information, put it into a zip file, and I can transfer or deploy this zip file now into the target tenant where I want to make that solution available. So I will do a final test of my solution, and then I can tell my customer the new capability is ready for inspection, and then I can, if I have additional feedback, improve the solution further and have an entire lifecycle management solution built in to the SAP Cloud Application Studio. So that is the so-called one-off case that I have available. I build something, I test it in the test tenant, and I deploy it in the production tenant. Also, if partners work and serve multiple customers at the same time, they do it in the partner development tenant, there we also have one more capability, which is the multi-customer solution. In the multi-customer solution, the partner maintains the solution just once and then deploys all of the resulting solutions into the individual tenants of the customer, which obviously lowers the maintenance load on the partner side. So in a nutshell, the Cloud Application Studio is the instrument of choice to do extensions of Business ByDesign on the inside of Business ByDesign. The advantage for the partner is whatever they build looks exactly like the solutions that SAP would build. So that is good whenever you want to add one more business object, add more capabilities. That is what this in-place extensibility is good for. Let me mention also that you can do a side-by-side extensibility, especially with SAP, the SAP Cloud offering, where you then consume the web services. That would, for example, be if you want to integrate a chat application in Business ByDesign, I would rather use the SAP Cloud offering, use some of the frameworks there. And once the chat has reached a level where you now want to create a sales order out of it, that is when you invoke Business ByDesign via the web services interface. So these are the capabilities of the Cloud Application Studio and what you can do with it.